Lucas, ADHD.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Okay, I'm gonna break down ADHD because I think for me, this for me is a bit personal, and why I speak about personal is this is a condition I'm very familiar with, and it's a condition that I was actually uh, the school I went to was an Elson school, and Elson school meaning school for special needs. So I went there for speech therapy. I
Yeah.
stutter and I'm dyslexic. And the other most common condition near schooling was ADHD. And for those who don't know, ADHD is attention deficit hyperactive disorder, you know. And the sad thing about this thing, we're not really familiar with this condition as abantu abamnyama. So when we see our kids with this condition, uh, the closest thing I can remember to was uDJ Sbu athi uqina upapa, and then you get irritalent, and then lawa maphilisi lawa athi amaphilisi oqeda ukuqina, which is the Ritalin people take for this type of condition, you know? So yeah, man, like just speaking to also that, I was like, wow, okay, it was cool. I think it's always cool when celebrities, and I know we do Kanye West also did this with with his four song EP where he was talking about being bipolar. So I don't get excited, but I get happy when celebrities start showing some level of being vulnerable. Yeah. So within the cover, the dude is like covering his face. But what's also cool about it is it's playing in that whole art space of a double exposure, which was also a very trendy style of photography like 3 years ago, where a lot of people would do a side profile of the silhouette, and then within inside they would put things that speak to them. So for example, if it was a Tabo silhouette, I would have the Bible, I would have music, I would have computer, because all those things speak to my personality. So yeah, man, like I enjoy his creativity. Let me see that. Like if you, to me, Joyner Lucas, it's been the past 3 years. I've only decided to follow him. The first song of him I heard was I'm not a racist. I don't know if you remember that track.
You're not.
I'm not a racist.
Yeah, that's when I first ever heard of it.
Yeah, now me like on Facebook by mistake I bumped into that, and then his most controversial one was he Devil's Work, the music video he shot in church, and he was like kind of having like a DMC with God. So he's been covering his own niche when it comes to even his music video. Like I personally
Comes hard with those music. He's definitely like those music videos. He pays special attention to those.
you know, so for me those are the things I must say I really appreciate about his music and his creativity with his music video, his topics as well, and also that he is very aware of what's happening in his surroundings. So he likes to talk about topics that are current and are trendy. Like I feel like he's a very much of a creative genius in terms of how he maneuvers. But back to the cover, man. Back to the cover. Virg, photography wise, I like the fact that it's black and white. The cover. So let's go back to our pillars, which is concept, which is execution, which is there's another one I'm missing. Concept, execution.
Disruption.
Yes. For concept, I'll give it a 7, bro.
You'd give it
A 7.
okay.
I'll give it a 7. Why a 7? I picture a lot of people who have this condition and the type of expressions they find themselves in. You know, ADHD is a disorder mainly for kids from the ages of your 13 up until 16. So for an adult to be still in this type of situation, it's a bit of embarrassing for them. So if you look at his expression, kind of speaks to him understanding the psyche of what a person his age should be considering this type of disorder. So which is why I'm going for a 7 when it comes to concept. I don't know if you agree with me or disagree.
Concept as well. I would actually also give it a 7. I like the the fact that I think he's also got a similar story as well. He was talking about how he was diagnosed when he was younger, but then I think when you look at the cover, it just connects to that. It I don't know also though whether I guess not being all up there is like a thing, but it's I like the fact that it's just flat, it's all out there, and the fact it's ADHD, he's not trying to go around anything. Like if you pick this up and listen to it, this is the image that comes with it. This is the image. You know that you could be in for a bit of a ride. You know that you're gonna enter someone's personal space.
Sure.
And I like it. And again, it's black and white. The ADHD. Here's the image, black, white. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be mincing my words on anything that I'm talking about.
And I like you touch on the black and white, because I think even when we talk about a person who's very straightforward, we say everything is in black or white with that person. You either like him or you dislike him. He's either for you or against you. So it's just that in terms of the execution now, here's where I think this is my own personal opinion and judgment. When I was looking at his stuff, I discovered he's got merch.
Yeah.
And he has a nice beanie that actually has the title here. So I don't think for me it was necessary to have ADHD on the side there and then have the logo holding device, because you've got the acronym there, and then below it you've got his name and sign him, which is his stage name, Joyner Lucas. So I think for me, I would have loved it for him not to have ADHD there. Just have it on his beanie. Yeah. And actually wear the title. Literally wear your title. Yeah.
Yeah. I could agree with you there. I don't like. I think it's almost the same thing. When we were discussing Rest Prof's project,
Sure.
I think this typography should have been handled differently. I don't think it's the wrong typography. I think a small change like what you could have made like the world different, because
Sure.
the image is there. So but it's You know, it's clean. It's clean. And again, you like your clean shit. You like
I do, man.
your
On this, I would have
stuff.
dropped. On this dog, I would have dropped the name because we already know who he is. You can see him, and I would have dropped the title. I would have just had the title on the beanie and stitched there because already it's part of merch. So it also speaks to another communication with, oh, I've got merch on this, so people can actually now start investigating merch and finding out what more they can buy from the album.
Yeah, yeah. So what's what number you giving it execution?
5.
Giving it a 5.
Yes.
Execution. I
Sure.
think you've been a bit rough.
What are you giving it?
Yeah, I'd give it a 6. You know, I think it's well executed. They kept the basics right.
Sure.
But yeah, 5 is a 6 still. And then let's touch on the visual. What's your maybe you can lead on the visual.
On the visual, so at the bottom, lapana by his neck, you've got the parental advisory thing, and I don't know if that was necessary to have it there.
Sure.
For me, I would have had it directly opposite the title of the album and his name. So opposite. So Angeti, here you've got the title. Here I would have the parental advisory. So it kind of aligns there than having it here.
Then bottom of his face.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's look at maybe the technical aspects though of the visual as well. I mean, I would think for me. So firstly, one thing I need to just point out that I'm actually happy about, because we actually didn't shout out the person who worked on this, right? And who worked on this design, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm actually really happy that I finally found this guy after a whole lot of like looking. And it's a Norwegian designer. His name is Haakon Hirt. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but he's a Norwegian designer. And funnily enough, I found him on a YouTube tutorial of this cover, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he comments on the YouTube tutorial of this cover, and this is after like really, really, really looking, because I don't know whether it's a major label thing, but I don't like this thing where the information of designers is not.
It's hidden, dog.
I don't like, and this was like probably the hardest I've had to look. You know, I was just fortunate enough that somebody actually created art for this thing and whatever. So interestingly enough, though, and then when I tracked him and I checked out his work, he's another kind of very undercover kind of designer. I think he freelances and he like designs for food company or something like that. But so my thing on the visual here, what I love actually about this, I love projects where even up until now, when you look at this image, this visual forces you to think about design. It forces you, like, you have to think about how was that done, and you have to understand the process of photography and design. You have to start thinking about graphic design. You know, it's almost like it speaks to that art. You know, and you know, it's a simple thing, but I appreciate projects that's done in a very simple way, using a very simple style. You know, we've seen people. There was a Mashal as well, right? Who had that thing where he put his hands on his face, right?
Yes.
That excellent show. So you know, it's not necessarily, but the fact that he just, you know, he did something so simple using such simple design components to just create a conversation on design. Because when you see it, it's like, I want to know about the design. How was this done? Because this is not a photograph. This is graphically designed image.
Yeah.
About it, man. And I love it. Executed it clean, like, flawless.
For me, I also get a lot of tutorial vibes about this cover.
But that's the thing, because you want to know. The fact that there's designers who's like, no, okay, this is cool. We haven't seen this before. I want to actually know how this is done, and I want to know so much how this is done. And I'm gonna create a video showing other people how to do this. That speaks a lot, man. That shows you. That's almost like it's a little move, but it takes the game forward.
Sure.
It's like if you compare the cover that we looked at now, at the end of the day, we understand the components it takes to put that cover together, right?
Sure.
Just by looking at it, you understand, control your lighting, control your this. You have to instill yourself and actually hear it.
So the difference between this one and the other one, that one was more photographically more inspired. This one was more design and graphic design inspired.
But not loud as well, because when you know what you can do, you always. So I love the simplicity of the execution, but there's a sophistication to how the visual was done, man. I thought that was beautiful.
Media, let me tell you one more point just before I move on. You know why I don't like the parent advising being here?
So,
they're covering his hands. So I feel like the designer, they were cheating us. There's something going on there.
Oh, okay. Joyner Lucas is like, yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Like, and he's going like this. So, like here, when you get to this part, either he didn't want to show us, or it continues, because you don't see it there. It just ends there.
Yeah.
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 So for me.
Okay.
So for me, there was a level of laziness and not considerate, because out of all things he considered. And that's why when we talk about flawless design, we're saying nothing should be just replaced.
Sure.
He should have considered, if I'm doing this aesthetically pleasing design, how therefore am I going to end it off and still get the proper message it needs to say? Yeah. So for me, it might feel like we're talking about it was an afterthought. Say in the cover, also flipped dog, we forgot to add this thing. And they were like, okay, let's just plank it on his neck.
Advisory, bro.
Huh?
But I would say, parental advisory, bro.
Yeah, sure. But
so like.
So yeah, that's where I'm.
So out of 10, where do you say?
We started to go lower and lower now, because you see now after this, for me it's a 4.
4 for the visual.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, I don't know whether this fits under disruption of visual, but I'll put it by visual. I think if you're a kid and you
no, sorry,
you want to learn.
Visual, it's a 5. For execution, it's a 4.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. So your execution is a 4. Your visual is a 5.
Yes.
For me, the visual keeps a 7, because I think, again, if you see this visual as a kid, this is one of the visuals that's strong enough to make you want to become a designer. Like, I don't know, you just like you want to go around and be like, I want to learn.
Yes.
I want to impress my friends and learn how it's that good, So in terms of like what it does for the craft, I like it as a visual. I like just the fact that it if you like, this is what we do. You know, it's the difference between that and photography school and such things. So yeah, man, I think it's a strong image. Disruption.
Disruption, man. This image is disruptive, bro. Like Joe Osh, I think like show it's such a cool insight to what it. There's rare album covers that will make people fall in love with the art. Like the picture, the cover we saw of the weekend, it would get people interested in photography. I'm just not sure if they'll fall in love with it. But whereby this one, people would be intrigued, but they also would like to explore graphic design. Or can I do this? Is this thing for me? So for me, when it comes to disruptive, I think this thing was really disruptive. I can see this as an art piece. I'm not sure if I can see it as a t-shirt though. The whole picture. I can see the font. I can see the title, Joyner Lucas, but I don't see the picture on its own as a black and white image being on a t-shirt. Yeah. So,
but I can definitely give with some of those points. I just again, it's a memorable image, which I usually touch on when it comes to just the things I look in terms of disruption. But yeah, it's almost like, and I think yes, I think it's just like in terms of there's almost a labor of love feel to it, so you can feel that about it when you see this, which I want to know more, create an interest about just the field and stuff of designs. For me, I'd probably go to a 6 for disruption.
Sure.
I definitely think it's and the funny thing is this image has been around for a while, but I think it's an image you sit back and like, okay, this this was the approach to it is hard. It's hard, bro. The whole double exposure and how it was used. The approach is definitely a disruptive aesthetic. But it's a level of a 6. If it was in class, I'd give him a C.
And I also think like we were talking about the style being an old style and it now coming back and being done like this. So what I also enjoy about it is how they've preserved the double exposure and how they've presented it back to us. They've presented it in a refreshing way. We haven't seen it like this. Like I was saying, we've seen it double exposure more on a side profile, on a more full length, but we haven't seen it on a full like close up, and it's being done like that. So I thought for me, seeing it like that was refreshing to see a style we're used to, but in terms of how it was executed, it was executed in a way I hadn't seen it being done before.
No, man. What was it's a lesson. It's a lesson. I think this is just a design lesson. That's what it is. The tutorials about it. It's like this is how you do this. And I think it's a win for an artist if you can do something so dope that people actually want to sit and unpack it and uncover it to that level. And again, it's not like this was some like guy who's on like some major level. It's a kind of, it looks like the young designer who worked on this, and it was just a lot of creativity. It's not like you're working with some massive design team on certain. Well, that's how it looked. It just looked like the beautiful image that he had control over, and he played around it. This was, and he created. It just connects, man. It's definitely a cool image, man. The typography was just like those little components for me with the weaknesses in it.
I must say, man, in closing, I'm a bit disappointed on Joyner Lucas because as a person who respects the art, for him not to kind of give a shout out for another guy's creative art and execution. For me, it was a bit disappointing for me because I feel like
Sure.
whenever I look at his stuff, like he gives it. He cares about design, like he cares about how he portrays himself. So when
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
was when I was on Instagram page, when I was on his pages, for me not to kind of find out to say album cover done by so and so, and giving the guys his roses as a person who himself is a creative and consider himself as an artist.
Yeah.
For him not to
Yeah.
help us and lead us towards the guy who did his cover was a bit disappointing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but I guess you never know what deals these kids, these things I guess work so much differently, man. There's a whole lot of merch this project as well. So I hope this kid is also getting some back end, and then it's a case of like we don't want to give away like names and who did it, and then there's a whole lot of maybe it distracts from what we're trying to do with this project. Who knows, man? But I definitely found it weird that there was just like, it's just like zero acknowledgement from him.
Yeah, man. It is your boy Testate, one of your pastor's favorite. That's our 2 album covers we dropped the weekend after hours, and then Joyner Lucas with AHAD. That was the album cover. So yeah, man, we are gonna be back, continuing what we do best. It's your boy Testate, one of your pastor's favorite DJ, chilling over there with.
But yeah, thanks, man. I think we got through this, and we'll be back with some more designs, man. Bring your A game, pasta. I think I'm 2-0 up right now, so we'll see. See what will come up with next time, man. And I'm definitely gonna look to just throw you off a little bit more for the next one, man. I'm gonna just show you that I've got some like different eyes on this design thing that come from like an angle you're not ready to see.
Bring it on, man. Peace in the Middle East. See you on the streets, man. We out.